start with what I think is probably the most important thing to keep in mind with most of these strength training moves, and that's maintaining a neutral spine. So any of you who've been doing the dry land workouts or the TRX with me, you hear me saying that a lot. Try to keep that neutral spine, engage your core, but we're going to talk about what that means. So if you want to hop up with me, and if you can find a wall, we're going to do it against the wall first. And obviously it's hard to see yourself, but I can check you out. And if you have a mirror to check yourself out, that's a good way to look at yourself. Or if you have someone around you that can have eyes on you. But we're going to stand against a wall. And we're just going to lift our arms up overhead and then right back down. And you can even watch yourself in your camera. But what we're looking for is that your spine doesn't change at all while you lift your arms overhead. I'm going to take my hoodie off so you can see me a little bit better. I put it back on because I'm cold. But so you can see I have a little gap between my back and the wall, and I lift my hands over the head. Hopefully that gap doesn't grow at all. So when someone loses their neutral spine, you'll see them kind of arch their back as they lift their arms overhead. They can't maintain that neutral spine. So we're looking for keeping that core strong, holding that back the same, no matter where your arm position is. So when I used to personal train, that was one of the little tests I did for the first session I had them. I wanted to see if they were able to hold the neutral spine as they lifted their arms overhead. And if they couldn't, then we weren't going to do anything overhead until they could learn to do that. Because obviously you're going to hurt your back if you're arching your back when you're lifting stuff overhead. So that's something to test yourself with. And if right now you can't see yourself, you can do it in front of a mirror. You don't need a wall really. You can just do it in front of a mirror and test yourself, but you can also have someone else look at you. A wall makes it easy because you can see if the gap grows or not. And then if hopefully you all have a broomstick nearby, I'm going to have you grab your broomstick. So this is another really easy way to test if you're holding your neutral spine. So with a broomstick, you have 3 points of contact: your head, your upper back, and your lower back. So find those 3 points of contact. So we have this neutral spine right now. Rolling your shoulders back, 3 points of contact. And if you tend to, this is a good point too. So if you tend to stand more like rounded shoulder, you're gonna have a hard time finding those 3 points of contact. So practice rolling the shoulders back, getting those 3 points of contact. It's like a typical swimmer stance, standing with rounded shoulders. 3 points of contact, and see if you can bend over doing that hip hinge while keeping the 3 points of contact. If you lose one of the points of contact, then stop, try to get it back and do that. So again, like before you add any weight to your deadlift, or like if you're doing a good morning, anything where you're bending over here, single leg deadlift, you want to perfect this hip hinge where you're maintaining that neutral spine. So you want to practice doing that. The broomstick's really good for that. So squats, again, you can practice with the broomstick for squats. So find those 3 points of contact and practice your squat. So a thing that I would often see, again, with personal training with squat is backward round here. So keeping that head in line with the spine, 3 points of contact, don't let the upper back lose it, but practicing some squats with your broom. Deadlifts, obviously. Bent over row is another good one where I would see sometimes people losing their spine. So if you're doing a bent over row, either with 2 dumbbells, see if I can balance this guy on my back, 2 dumbbells, but usually we're doing it with 1. So say, you're doing it with just 1 dumbbell, just testing your stuff. You could set yourself up when you're setting up your bent over row, test yourself with a broom before you begin, just to kind of get yourself set if you suspect you might be losing that spine. Because most of us don't have personal trainers looking at us. If you have a mirror where you work out, that can be a great tool because it's really hard to feel this stuff sometimes. I still like using a mirror to check my form on stuff, especially if I haven't done a movement in a little while. I like checking myself with that. Back extension's another one. So I don't have a back extension bench here in my house, but if at the gym, when you're doing back extension, you'll see all kinds of bad form on the back extension at the gym. Same with deadlifts. You know, you'll see people rounding as they go down and arching up as they come up. But same idea. You want to keep that neutral back. So when you're doing that back extension on the machine, you know, seeing if you can keep that neutral back as you're doing your back extension. And there's no need to hyperextend as you come up. Just come up parallel with your legs and back down. Any questions on the neutral spine with the standing stuff?